Welcome into the Jordy Culotta Show. Wave your hand out there, baby!
Shout out to the show.
She puts the pinky into the nostril. Man, look at that.
Healthy competition, there's nothing like it.
Y'all grow up.
The line's wrapped around the stadium.
Different strengths. I just lost a tooth.
It's going to be fun.
You know, we might have a story.
I love what you're doing.
Ogeron wants to take us fishing this afternoon.
Sharif, you play for the bad boys of the SEC, man. We don't apologize to anybody.
A lot of people are saying you're going to be wearing number 7.
I don't really know. I want to. See, look crazy, Bill.
Good feet on the old man.
Definitely come back.
We'll be right back with the Jordy Culotta Show. Welcome in to another edition of the Jordy Culotta Show, driven and powered by Go Chevrolet, live here on this Thursday. Remember to hit that like button, share button, comment button. We appreciate you starting your Thursday here with us. We got a good show for you coming up. Before we get out of here at 9 a.m., we'll get our picks from the Advocates. Zach Ewing, as he will stop in. All of our lines are compliments of Caesar Sportsbook. Remember, log online and download the app. Over at Caesar Sportsbook, use the promo code FMFULL, the letter F, the letter M, full. You go to risk up to $1,500 risk-free over at Caesar Sportsbook, as we will talk to Zach about some of the games that are standing out going into the weekend. We will talk to Ross Dellinger coming up here at 7:30 this morning about some of the college football storylines, including this week in Charlottesville, up in Virginia. Dellenger, Sports Illustrated Zone, was on the campus of Virginia and getting the latest after the tragic shootings earlier this week. We'll talk to Dellenger about his experience up in Charlottesville. We'll also talk to him about the college football weekend ahead. If you're joining us here on this Thursday morning, as we said, make sure and hit the like button, share button, comment button. We always appreciate you starting your day here with us. So grateful to have you. As we said, daily, we're brought to you by Go Chevrolet, online, GEAUX, Chevrolet.com. Check out our friends over at Go Chevrolet. They're in LaPlace, Louisiana. If you want to check out the brand new cars, if you're in the market, whether you're in New Orleans, Baton Rouge, in South Louisiana, check out Go Chevrolet. And Metropolitan Health Group brings you our phone line every day. Metropolitan Health Group, real doctors, real solutions from our friends over at Metropolitan Health Group. Some media yesterday, Brian Kelly and the rest of the SEC coaches were speaking on the SEC media teleconference, which happens during the week. LSU's Brian Kelly will meet with the media for the final time of game week here on this Thursday, as he'll have his kind of wrap-up press conference after practice this afternoon, and then head over to TJ Ribbs for his weekly radio show that you can hear weekly. And that'll be it before LSU kicks it off against UAB on Saturday night. Kelly yesterday was speaking of a couple of things, including senior night, which will be on Saturday night, and 17 seniors will be honored for LSU, including Todd Harris Jr., who Harris feels like he played with Billy Cannon on the 58 team. I mean, it feels like he's been there forever. I mean, like, he looked incredible during fall camp, too. Like,
oh, he's chiseled.
He's in shape.
I mean, he is in serious shape, man, but you hadn't seen much of him here during his senior year.
Northwestern State took him out.
Mike Jones is going to be honored on senior night. Jeray Jenkins is going to be in the mix. Colby Richardson. I was looking at some of the names, and Richardson's one of the guys that we haven't talked about in a while. We talked about him. I guess that's the emergence of Mekhi Garner.
And Jared
Bernard Converse.
Right.
Got schemed off the field.
Or just
No, by his own coach.
Ali Gay will be a part of tomorrow night. We'll also see Nick Storrs, the former baseball player turned tight end. Safety Joe Fouché will be honored. We mentioned Gardner. Gardner will be in the mix. Jay Ward will be out there. Jarick Bernard Converse will be honored before the game. Among the seniors who are not expected, and this is pretty interesting, to take part in senior day are cornerback Sevin Banks, offensive lineman Tremont Shorts, defensive back Greg Brooks, punter Jay Bramblett, and running back John Emery, who is listed as a super senior, but he would have been out of eligibility this year, but an injury after appearing in just one game opens the door for him to return in the 2023 season. He's played more than one game here, so I don't know what the rules and regulations are on that, but that'll be a story that we will, I guess we'll watch a little bit here.
Does he have a COVID year?
Yes.
Because
I mean, doesn't everybody?
He's been
have...
here just 4 years, like 4 years straight out. This is senior year, regular senior year.
We'll talk a little bit about it. If I was, look, man, I know that everybody wants John Emery to come back for LSU's sake, but if you're a running back and you're a running back with not a lot of room to gain ground, like for instance, I mean, John Emery right now is a 5th, 6th, 7th, maybe an undrafted guy at this point, kind of feels like it. If he came back next season, do we really believe he could play himself into a first 3-day back? I do not. I look at the running back position kind of like a defensive back. We were talking about Eli Ricks earlier this season, and Ricks, like whether or not he would come back to school or transfer over to LSU. For what? There's enough room in the NFL where if you can play defensive back, you'll get a chance. It doesn't matter if you've been in trouble. It doesn't matter if you've transferred. It doesn't matter if you've probably quit the team. If you can play, they'll give you a shot. Running back, I think, is the same way. I mean, you can see a running back on Sunday that has played at every level, a guy that's played at, schools that you've never heard of. You've seen the big schools. Running back is one of those positions where if you've got the skill and you can make it through the physical part of the NFL, you can play. And a guy like John Emery, while it would really be cool to see him back at LSU for another season just for the sake of the team, I would, if I was in John Emery's corner, I would tell him, hey, man, start going to get real money for those carries rather than, kind of waiting on NIL cash that you got to get out there and you got to go find yourself. Just go get an NFL contract. And if you make the team, that'll be money that you can start to, really put towards, your lifestyle. I mean, that'll be your professional career. So that would be my thoughts on John Emery if he was even contemplating coming back. So it'll be interesting to see senior night, but here is Brian Kelly. We ready over there for Brian Kelly from yesterday? Here he is talking about senior night. This is number 1, Stewie.
About the opportunity to get back out, and this is our last home game, and so we've got 17 seniors that we're honoring, 13 graduates. So last home game, recognizing our seniors, playing a really good UAB team, one of the top rushers in the country, over 1,400 yards, and then, really a team that could easily be 8 or 9 win team. So they've got our attention. We're excited about, sending our seniors off with the victory, and that's been really our focus. This entire week is, playing to our standard, and obviously it's been a great year, but we still have a lot of work to do.
That compliment of the Bengal Tiger, our friends over at On3. Check out the On3 YouTube and Bengal Tiger, what they got going on. But they recorded yesterday's SEC teleconference, and that's where we're taking this from. But that was Kelly yesterday speaking on senior night on the matchup of UAB and what it's like going into the final home game of the regular season. Here is this is number 3. This is number 3, Stewie, of Brian Kelly talking about what he perceived or what was the state of the LSU football program when he took the job over back in January.
Well, I think you have to look at the circumstances when you come into any business or organization. What is the organizational health? And, the organizational health was such that it needed to be rebooted. And, that started with, new coaches, new support staff. We had, 39 scholarship players that are available for the bowl game. So it would not have been a realistic expectation I think there are some circumstances where there is a transition where those circumstances could be realistic. But I think in this situation, that would not have been a realistic expectation.
More from Kelly here. This is yesterday of him speaking about now having the West locked up. This is for Stewie of Kelly talking about, having the trip to Atlanta already booked.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, any time that you can over-deliver given the circumstances says a lot about the young men and how well they have really bought into a change in the standards, and they've played exceedingly well. We've gotten contributions from kids that weren't on this campus. Obviously, we're playing a number of true freshmen and transfer students that we brought in. So, that's difficult, right? I mean, we didn't have any indication as to how that would all come together, but the kind of kids they are, the production that they've given us has really allowed us to meet and exceed expectations.
Again, shout out to
Bengal Tiger
from On 3 for that sound. Here is Kelly. This, I thought, was the best answer of the teleconference yesterday, talking about the resources and what it's like in 2022 to take the job in the state of LSU that they were under. Like Kelly said, look, the health of the organization was it was battered when they took over earlier this year, and now here they are just 10 months later, 11 months later as SEC Western Division champs, and really how you got there.
Well, certainly I came here with my eyes wide open. I knew that, the roster, had some talented players. Certainly there was going to be incredible support from the top all the way down, and I mean from the president through our athletic director. We were going to have the resources necessary. The resources here are better than anywhere that I've been in my career. And so those resources go to work right away in helping you develop your football program from, nutrition to strength and conditioning to just having the support necessary from a manpower standpoint. All of those things coming together from the very beginning allow you to have this opportunity to develop and build your football team right away.
More on that. This is Kelly. This is 7, Stewie, talking about how you can bounce back here under the new rules of college football.
Well, it's a good question. I think you have to be very careful because chemistry is still the one thing that can really upset a locker room, and finding the right guys and making sure that they're good teammates. Just because they're great players doesn't make them great teammates, and you still have to have 11 guys that trust each other and are accountable to each other. And sometimes you can't find that through watching film. You've got to get to know them, and you don't get that opportunity through the transfer portal. It's why they call it a portal. They kind of they beam you up onto campus. And so, look, I don't know that anybody really wants to develop their program strictly through the portal. It's still about player development. It's still about knowing the guys and building them through the culture of your program. So, again, I am answering your question based upon you have to be very careful. You can, but you can also, fall flat if you make some mistakes.
Final one here, Stewie. Last one of Kelly's press conference of him talking about the more on the resources.
8.
Yep.
Yeah, I can give you my philosophy as to how I think it can be managed, and that is you can top the tank off, but your base, most of the tank has to be through player development and development through freshmen, developing your program, getting the right standards set, the culture of your program, and then you can bring in guys because they are going to assimilate to the culture that has been built. You don't want the transfer portal and a number of those guys to set the culture because they don't know what it is, and it takes too long. And so to me, that's where I think the transfer portal is great, but I think you have to understand that it's great if you top your tank off with it and fill in some needed positions, but have the base of your program built through freshman recruiting.
Brian Kelly yesterday speaking a part of the SEC teleconference, which all of the conference coaches take part of every Wednesday. That was Kelly speaking on a number of things, including senior night coming up on Saturday for LSU, to transfer portal and building this LSU program in just one short year, from 38 scholarship players into SEC Western Division champs, was some of the stuff that Kelly was talking about yesterday. Micah Baskerville is another topic that has come up earlier this week at a part of Brian Kelly's press conference that he was speaking on that I thought was very interesting. And I had a chance to watch the latest LSU Gold, and if you have not, you can see last week's preparation for Arkansas and then traveling up to Fayetteville and getting the win, and even some of the moments in the locker room after the game, like Harold Perkins getting presented the game ball, and some of the messages that Kelly had for the team throughout the week. It's always cool to go back and see what each individual week is like, and having a chance to kind of look back. And, Micah Baskerville made a huge play in that game. It ultimately was called a forward pass, but one that looked like it had kind of sealed the game. And Kelly was asked about Baskerville on Monday at his press conference, and he had some pretty interesting words. I thought it was a very direct, and it was a very honest, it was a very transparent answer to the media and to the public, expressing Micah Baskerville being an example of where this program was when he took over, right? When Kelly got here. And he said, very publicly and pointedly said, when I got here, speaking of, from Kelly's point of view, he said that the reputation on Micah Baskerville was that he was kind of a knucklehead, right? He didn't do the right things. He didn't go to class. He didn't get his rate. He didn't do his rehab. He didn't, he just constantly at every turn was not doing what he was supposed to do. And, very early on in Kelly being announced that he was LSU's head coach, he had a chat with Baskerville, and he came into the office, and Baskerville had kind of decided that he wanted to give LSU and football one more chance, one more season under the new coach. And Kelly out loud kind of outlined what it was going to take to make that happen. And Baskerville has checked all the boxes. He's done and taken care of all of his responsibilities to get back into good standing with the program, back into good standing with the coach, back into good standing with his teammates, and now is as big of a part of this group as anyone. For as much as we've talked about Jaden Daniels emerging, for as much as we speak on every day seemingly of Harold Perkins and how he impacts the game, there are guys that are going, untalked about, that are having huge impacts throughout the team. And one of those guys is Micah Baskerville. Baskerville, you can directly look at when he became a full-time starter and player for LSU of, some of the good things that really started to happen for not only this defense, but for the team. And Baskerville was speaking a little bit back on that, just building that trust with his coach. Baskerville said earlier this week, I had my times where I didn't want to go to class or do the things like that, but now I understand why I needed to do all the little things. I was in the moment and not thinking about the bigger picture, like graduating. I really appreciate Coach Kelly for putting me in a better perspective and for me and my family. Look, this is Baskerville, I think, is another example of, some of the things that we've talked about, of the little things that are taking shape for LSU football, that are clear-cut examples of, the good things that are happening for the team under Kelly's direction. I think that, hang on one second. This is Ross Dellinger asking for a 5-minute. He wants to go at 7:35 here. And just kind of letting him know. But
the microwave's set for 5 minutes.
Yeah. But I think that Baskerville is another great example of just kind of the emergence of the little things really starting to buy in from not only the new guys that are on campus, but the veterans that have been here. And he's a guy that's seen a lot of days of LSU football. He's seen a lot of highs and lows of the program, and to have him bought in on the way out under a first year guy, I think will help kind of keep that message stuck to the program when he moves on. I mean, that's kind of how it works within these locker rooms, is that Kelly can come in and preach and implement and put his discipline onto the program. But at some point, the locker room really has to take that on and run itself. And Kelly has to have the trust of guys that, kind of extensions of him in the locker room that are overseeing and making sure that when the coaches are away, when not, everybody's watching all the time, that they're doing the right things. And Baskerville is a great example of somebody that, for a while he wasn't doing the right stuff. And, it kind of got the best of him and put him in spots where, he wasn't ready to play. And now you've seen it, man. I mean, with all of, the good things that have been happening to the program, he's one of the stories that you look at and say, man, look at this guy who is, totally and completely got it now, and all of the good things that are happening. I think Baskerville's playing himself into, a draft pick. I don't know where he would have projected to have been at the end of last season, or maybe even, evaluated at the beginning of this year. But I think as the weeks go on, he's continuing to make money. Right, whether it's mid-round draft choice or playing himself up to possibly a third-round type pick maybe. But I mean, he is athletic, he is aggressive, he's always around the football, he can move, he's got good speed. He's a guy that's going to test well, and he's played a ton of football at a high level for LSU. So I wonder. Where he can move himself into the draft, because he has been a key part of LSU, man. I know that Perkins gets the love and Daniels gets the spotlight and the shine, and they deserve it because they're playing very, very steady and very consistent and very good for LSU. But there's some other guys on this team that they may not be the headlines of the press when we're talking or you're looking for your news on LSU football, but you don't have to dig too deep to find out that, guys like Baskerville are making impacts on the scoreboard. They're changing the outcome. They have huge parts of what's going on in the resurgence of LSU football, and it's cool to watch, man. It really is. RMB Builders brings you the Jordy Culotta Show. Remember, Rhett Bourgeois and the crew over at RMB Builders spoke to him earlier this week. They're moving all over the place, man. They got work happening out in University Club. They got work happening in South Baton Rouge. They got work happening in West Baton Rouge. They're all over the place, man. RMB-builders.com. You can check out their Instagram if you want to look at the quality of work right there for yourself. They got videos. They got pictures. They got tours of projects that they got going on, whether it's reconstruction, remodeling, brand new houses that they're building from the ground up. All of it is right there for you to check out over at RMB Builders Instagram. Give them a like, give them a follow, give them a share. Check them out on Instagram, RMB-Builders, RMB-Builders.com online. Rhett Bourgeois and his crew doing tremendous work over at RMB, RMB-Builders.com. RMB-Builders.com is where you can find them. Like we said, we'll talk to Dellenger here coming up in 10 minutes, and we will talk to him about some of the storylines this week in college football, including the time that he spent at Charlottesville on the University of Virginia's campus up in Charlottesville, Virginia, earlier this week after just a tragic time right now for the football program, the university, the community, and everybody affected. And look, this has a reach and touches Baton Rouge, Louisiana, of what happened at the University of Virginia with the tragic shootings of 3 football players. 2 others were injured. One of those that were injured, as we said yesterday, was Michael Hollins. Hollins was the former standout star for University High on their 3-state championship run a couple of years ago. He was recruited by Virginia. Actually, Jordan Arsenal was one of the lead guys that got Hollins to the University of Virginia, and now Hollins has gone on to have a really steady and good career for the Wahoos. And on Sunday night, he was he was a part of that tragic situation. Now, thankfully, it looks as if Hollins is going to make a recovery and looks likely to make a full recovery. So thank God on that. But this is just a very scary, very sad, very tragic, as we said, situation that has unfolded on the University of Virginia's campus earlier this week. The suspect has been apprehended and is behind bars, but the damage has been done, and it was significant damage. As we said, 3 lives were lost, 2 others were injured and sent to the hospital. I understand that Michael Hollins has had numerous surgeries to repair his gunshot wound, and is expected, like I said, in talking to some people that are up in Charlottesville and close to that situation, it looks as if he's going to make a full recovery. But a very sad story that we will talk a little bit about with Ross Dellinger, as he was boots on the ground up in Virginia earlier this week, and really kind of got some frontline stuff of just the impact and the effect of the tragedy and that sad situation that unfolded on a college campus. So we'll talk to Ross. There's also some football stuff. Obviously, that is a tough story to get in and out of and talk about, some football games and this weekend. But we will do it with Ross. It should be an interesting weekend as far as the week ahead goes. You've got some games to watch out for that we will talk to Ross about here in, it's crazy, it's already week 12.
Yeah, college football slate is ass this week, though.
In the college football season, it is. I guess next weekend is the one.
It's the one. So if there's any way to make this thing, and I guess to get any entertainment value out of it, it's to put a couple dollars down, because you're gonna have to force yourself to watch some of these games. I mean, Houston, East Carolina, that get your goose.
Oof.
Oregon State, Arizona State,
Oof.
Boston College, Notre Dame, the Holy War.
Oof.
I mean, Miami, Clemson, maybe.
What is the best game of the weekend?
Miami, Clemson, bro.
Miami, Clemson. Miami's on fire.
Georgia, Kentucky.
Miami is in some serious trouble.
The game with the biggest playoff implications, I'd imagine, TCU Baylor. That's the one game that has like some. If you're an LSU fan,
Golly, and Aranda's group's no good.
I don't know what happened.
I think it's Baylor +2 though.
Yeah, the line has dropped. It was 3. So Baylor it's.
Everybody wants to disrespect TCU. They just won't let them.
6-4 is not bad for all. Oh, Aranda, come on, give him some time. He kind of overshot.
No,
I
was talking about TCU more.
Oh yeah.
Aranda.
But he goes to the Big 12 championship last year in his first year, and didn't they win it? Yeah. So I mean, it's probably, if you're an LSU fan and you see Brian Kelly go to the SEC championship in year 1, it can happen. But there's also some regression that can also take place whenever. I think Baylor lost a couple players that he goes into a good situation, I guess, if you're Aranda is able to get them on the same page. But you can see how it's a sliding scale of they won the division their first year, now they're 6-4. So temper your expectations. But
USC UCLA best game, huh?
Oh, there we go.
Yeah, that's the best game this weekend.
I mean, what time does that kick off? 10?
That'll be a West Coast game. No, it's actually going to be It's going to be a 6:00 game.
Oh, we'll catch that before LSU.
It'll be and this will be in the Rose Bowl.
Sold out.
Hell yeah, it will be. I mean, there's a lot on the line here, man.
So we got 2 good games. And then obviously LSU will take up most of your attention. If you can make it to 8 p.m., getting that number, getting that stadium.
No chance.
Oh. We got chicken broth and hot cocoa on the sidelines, Coach. Come on.
What's the weather report?
That's what I was about to check. I mean, I don't believe the weather.
Wow, USC favored by -2.5 over UCLA. I like UCLA Saturday night.
UCLA just lost to Arizona.
I know they did.
Last week.
Maybe a little look-ahead spot there.
just straight up lost.
They're both 7-3 on the
How is
on the
Arizona?
over against the spread. They both are a combined 14-6. I guess a better way to put it on hitting overs. I think the spreads. I think the total's 75. It's never that high. That means Vegas is scared to put it in the 80s. So go ahead and jump on that thing.
Should be entertaining, man.
Yeah.
Should be a very entertaining game. All right, we're going to talk more college football coming up here with Dellenger in a couple of minutes. Real quick before we got here, another win last night for the Pelicans as they beat the Bulls. Again, this is without Zion Williamson. That's back-to-back nights for the Pelicans in the win as, again, they come out and do it pretty good in the scoring column. As we were there 2 nights ago when they played Memphis and they scored, I believe, 113. And last night they scored 124 in the win over Chicago. So they are lighting up the scoreboard. Boston is in town on Friday night. Pels are 9-6 right now. They got Zion listed as day-to-day with an ankle injury right now that he's kind of watching over. But look, I know nobody's paying attention to basketball. College basketball had a couple of enormous matchups the other night with Michigan State, Duke, or Kentucky, Michigan State, and then Duke and Kansas matching up. But nobody cares about that. It's football season, and we'll get back to it with Ross Dellinger coming up here in a couple of minutes on the Jordy Culotta Show, driven and powered by Go Chevrolet.
In a wreck, Gordon McKernan Injury Attorneys is ready to go to work for you. Come meet your team.
I'm your intake specialist. I coordinate your case and connect you with your attorney and paralegal.
That's us, your legal team.
Here you go.
Thanks. And we'll fight to get you every dollar you deserve.
I'm your settlements and disbursement manager, and I'm here to get you paid on time.
I'm attorney Gordon McKernan. Put our team to work today. Just call us. Get it done.
We're sitting in the dugout.
So funny you say that.
And Pelfrey is not pitching today, but he's in full uni, he's turfs, and he's standing up on the fence, whatever, just like this, watching the game, and we start talking about, pissing your pants, something whatever. And he was like, "I'll piss my pants right now." We're wearing,
No way.
We're wearing gray pants, long gray pants. He goes, "I'll piss my pants right now." No, you won't. Yeah, how much money do you give me? So we gathered up however many people were in there. I think it ended up being $2,000 total.
I pissed my pants for $2,000.
And
100%.
So he goes in there, and he's watching the game, and he just starts pissing in his pants. Gray pants.
Yeah.
So you see it going down his pants. It's long pants going into his turfs. And he's just going into his turfs. He takes his turfs out and dumps out the pee outside on the warning track, on the dugout. And he just puts them back on, and he finishes the inning. He waits till the inning is over with to leave. And so he's watching the whole inning with piss in his pants. And everybody is dying laughing. Manager's laughing. Everybody's laughing. He gets up out of it and walks to the dugout, pee all in his pants, in the gray pants. It was awesome.
I remember telling them, hey, listen, my job here is to make sure that we bring, big time football to a small town environment, right? And so you see on movies sometimes about the way a town reacts to the football program and what it means to everybody, and that was the hopes and dreams that I had for the place. And so our kids take a distinct responsibility in wearing that Z on their helmet. It means a lot to them. And then on the flip side of that, our community does a tremendous job of supporting our program, supporting the athletic department, supporting our school as a whole. And there's really a great relationship there that's a lot of fun to be a part of.
Thank you for the access, man. Looking forward to tonight. We'll talk soon.
Coach, wait, before you go, fix your hair again one more time.
Look at him.
Let's go.
Yes. Look at him.
What do you think about that?
Game day,
what do you
baby.
think about that?
Game day. Hell yeah.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it, man. Great to see you. Thank you.
You too, guys. I appreciate it. Y'all have a great day.
All right, man. There he is. There he is. My guy. David Brewerton checking in. What does Harold Perkins do for this defense? What does he allow you guys to do?
Yeah, Perk, man, he's just so raw, man. Like, all he know how to do is make a play. But I love him. He brings a certain type of juice to the defense, and he's right alongside of me on the edge. He knows how to rush the edge. As a young guy, that's very valuable to the defense, being able to rush the edge. Making the quarterback step up. But yeah, they put him everywhere. Middle linebacker, outside rusher. Maybe sometimes he's gonna be in the drop. So he's very versatile for our defense.
Question in that game. You're listening to the Jordy Culotta Show live on YouTube. Catch it every day, 7 to 9 a.m. wherever you have internet access.
Oh, my guy, the host of Mac and Cube.
You said you wanted me to close it out.
I listen to his pod every day on WJOX 94. I thought I was going to beat Charlie. I didn't. You were fantastic as always. Have a great call in Missouri. I'll see you soon, man.
Thanks, man. Good
Later.
talking to you, Jordy.
Always. There he is. Cole Kublik, the absolute best. Don't overthink it, ABC. When you move to a primetime slot and the SEC is getting that billing, make this man the color commentator. He's the absolute best.
Ooh, I mean, what a
All right, welcome back here to the Jordy Culotta Show, driven and powered by Go Chevrolet, live here on this Thursday. Make sure and hit that like button, share button, comment button as we are here on this Thursday. Ross Dellinger from Sports Illustrated joins us. He's back with us. He's been with us a couple of times here, and we've talked to him a ton about college football, and we talked to him a ton. What happened?
He came in and disconnected.
Well, he said we were frozen.
Oh, he was probably watching the screen whenever we transitioned. Yeah.
Hello, Ross.
There he is. Quit logging off. Quit overthinking it.
Yeah, that's the Washington mentality.
We talked to Dellenger about all the college football storylines. He's one of the best in the business, if not the best, who covers the sport. But this week he was covering a human story, a real-life story, a tragic story on the campus of the University of Virginia. 3 Wahoo football players lost their lives. 2 others were hospitalized, including Baton Rouge's Michael Hollins from University High, who seems like he's going to make a recovery. Ross joins us here on this Thursday morning to talk a little bit about that story and more. Ross, good morning. Thank you for joining us.
Hey, Jordy. Good morning. How are you?
I'm doing okay, man. I know that earlier this week you were on the University of Virginia's campus, and there was a lot of sadness after a tragic situation on Sunday night. Take me back a couple of days and just what you saw, what you heard, what you learned.
Yeah, it was a pretty awful situation. I got there Monday afternoon. I live about 2.5 hours from Charlottesville in D.C. And so I got there Monday afternoon and dropped off my bags in my hotel and went straight walking around campus. It's probably around 4 o'clock or so. And just saw the signs hanging from the sorority fraternity houses and talked to some fraternity guys who were just milling about, and then went over to the parking garage where it happened, kind of checked it out, saw the flowers there, went to a prayer service that night there at a local church that's just across the street from campus, and then went over to the stadium and saw all the flowers, probably dozens, maybe 100 or more flowers had already been laid at the student gate, the entrance to the stadium. And then from there was, the real, just like fairly amazing happening, something that I had never really witnessed before. And it was thousands of students. As I was walking back from the stadium to the lawn, what they call the lawn, it's the center of campus. I was with hordes of students who were in like waves walking that direction. We were all walking to the lawn, and we get there for this vigil, and it's just complete silence. And everybody's, all these students have gathered, thousands of students. Wouldn't even estimate the number. I mean, it was just thousands of them. And they were either cross-legged on the grass or they were standing up in silence. Everybody's silent. It was crazy. And that went on for about 45 minutes until, and then while this was going on, while the students were on the grass. The football players, about 40 or 50 of them, were on the steps of one of the big old halls there that overlooked the grassy lawn. And the students were just kind of staring at the football players in silence for 45 minutes. It was crazy. And they had candles and such. And then one of the football players spoke briefly, said a prayer for Mike Hollins, who at the time, nobody knew if he would survive or not. And then the students paraded onto the steps and left their candles and such. And it was very emotional. Like I said, I don't think I've ever seen that many people in that situation for that long be that quiet. I mean, it was pretty crazy. So there was that. That was a tremendous moment.
Ross, did you learn? Have we found out why? What is the why here?
Yeah, everybody, that's the question everybody wants to know. And I get it. I want to know too. But we don't have an answer really, and I don't know that we'll ever have an answer. The university president did a video address yesterday, and said something to the effect of, "Look, we all want answers, but we might never know what happened and why it happened." Yeah. So the kid obviously had some issues in the past with hazing and bullying, is what his father said. And then, he had mentioned that he had a gun to one of the students maybe a few months ago, and the university actually investigated and didn't find anything. I think the police chief said that during the university's investigation, they couldn't get a hold of the kid or something. So, we don't really know. It's weird. And like I said, we might not ever know. We always want an answer or a why to the reason these things happen. A lot of times, there's really not one, except that the person is not mentally stable.
Yeah. What's the latest on Hollins, if you have an update there?
Well, last night he got out of the ICU, and I think he got downgraded from critical to stable, or maybe he's still in critical, but he is stable. Hospitals have their weird way of officially clarifying somebody's status, but he went through a second surgery yesterday. It was successful, and he is I think his second surgery was Tuesday. I don't know. All the days are running together. But he's good to go. It sounds like he's on the path back to recovery and being healthy again. I'm sure he'll have lasting issues. I mean, he got shot through the back, and the bullet, I believe, came out of his stomach, and so he had some abdominal. He's going to have some abdominal issues of damage or whatever done, but obviously he's lucky to be alive. And it sounds like the only reason he was alive is because he was further away, more than in the front of the bus from the shooter than the other players who were nearby.
Damn. Virginia has decided to cancel their game this Saturday. I know that is a choice that is tough to make, but you were on that campus. I'd imagine you say that makes sense, right?
Yeah. It certainly does. It would have been hard to see them playing a football game. It kind of is going to be hard to see them playing a football game next week. They play at Virginia Tech to end the season, and they haven't made a determination on that yet. And it's tough for me to see them playing, but the memorial for the three players is Saturday at the basketball arena. I'm going to go drive back down there for that. And I don't know if that's going to help things, and maybe on Sunday they move on and they decide to play the games. A lot of times the games can be distractions, for these players. So it could be, it could be good. We'll see.
Ross, I'm going to transition into some college football questions for you. I know that has been a tough week for you, and that has taken up the majority of your time. But no disrespect for the next couple of questions. Just when we have you, we have to take advantage of your knowledge. I appreciate the work that you're doing on this, and we'll continue to read all of it at Ross Dellinger. Your immediate reaction to Brian Kelly and LSU winning the West in year one?
Yeah, pretty surprised. I don't think that many people would have predicted that one to start the year. Yeah, pretty shocking result, but I think it says a lot. I think number one, I hate to say this, but I think it is true. Alabama, and Jordy, I think we talked about this before the Alabama LSU game, and I mentioned to you about the issues that Alabama has and how they've been exposed. They're not, they're just not the Alabama. They're not as disciplined as we have seen in the past. And LSU further exposed those issues. They just, and they did a great job. Defensively, they did a magnificent job. LSU did, really impressive. And their defense has been pretty solid, it seems, all year. It was kind of it kind of seemed like it was the offense that needed to start getting going and turning it on a little bit. And you see Jaden Daniels and his receivers a little more comfortable. Now, last week against Arkansas, obviously, was a struggle in that environment and the weather and all that. But you've seen him kind of get going. But it's back to your question. It's a pretty shocking and incredible first year for Brian Kelly that he was able to come in and if they do beat Texas A&M, lose one SEC regular season game to the number one team in the nation, or what at one point was the number one team in the nation. Yes, it's pretty incredible.
TCU, Sonny Dykes in Baylor this weekend, taking on Dave Aranda and the Bears. This spread is funky. It's right around 2.5. This is a game that people look at and see Baylor possibly slipping up, or excuse me, TCU possibly slipping up. What do you think of the Horned Frogs, and how sharp is their margin of error?
Well, I think I picked against TCU 4 to the last 5 weeks, maybe more. I keep waiting for them to lose. I picked them to lose to Kansas State, to Texas, to at West Virginia. I mean, and they were down a lot in those games and stormed all the way back. Oklahoma State, another one, and they stormed all the way back. You got to give it to them. They have some serious resiliency, and Max Dugan has been playing unbelievable. Heisman, putting up Heisman type numbers. But TCU's defense, especially in that game against Texas, right, played incredible. And give it to the defensive coordinator. His name is escaping me now, but he's a former longtime Texas high school coach that has joined the staff. And man, they played really well. But I keep waiting for them to slip up. This week I actually picked them to win, which I'm sure means that Baylor will win the game. And they'll finally slip up on the week that I don't pick them. But it's been incredible to watch. The thing is with TCU, they don't have any margin for error. If they lose a game, there's a really good chance that they get left out again. They got left out 2014, I believe. There's a good chance that they'll be left out again for a Tennessee or USC or something like that, or an LSU if they go on a run and beat Georgia. So they've got to keep winning to get in. Yeah. They really do.
Joe Gillespie, the defensive coordinator for TCU, longtime Texas high school coach with so much success. All right, the big one this weekend's USC, UCLA. A lot on the line here. How do you like this Pac-12 showdown with Lincoln Riley taking on Chip Kelly?
Well, it's supposed to be out there, and then UCLA lost. So it's still a big game, obviously. But instead of 2 potential playoff teams, you only have 1 now. So all the Pac-12's eggs are in USC's basket, so to speak, and they've got to keep winning in order to get that bid. I think if they win out and win the Pac-12, they probably will get the bid into the CFP if things shake out as if things shake out as you'd expect, chalk wise, and the favorites win. They'll get in. So that's a big one. Very little defense in this game. I don't know what the over-under is, but I'd guess it's pretty high. in the 60s or maybe more. I'd guess it's going to be a really fun shootout. I expect USC to win. I think they're the better team. But it is at the Rose Bowl. It's going to be probably record attendance there for a game in several years. They're pulling, I think, part of the tarps off, part of the stadium.
Reggie, get your jersey out of here.
Yeah. So we'll see. I think they're expecting like 72,000 or something like that. So
damn. All right, last one, Dellenger. I'll get you out of here. I know you're busy. LSU beats Georgia. Huge hypothetical. And that's a big what if. That's a huge mountain to climb for the Tigers. But they're standing there with 2 losses and wins over Georgia and Alabama on the resume as the SEC champ. 3 teams getting in?
I would be really surprised if the committee would put 3 teams in. In that case, if LSU does beat Georgia and win the SEC, it would surprise me if they didn't get in.
Mm-hmm.
And them and Georgia didn't get in the playoff. That would really surprise me if that's not what happened. And that would mean that Tennessee would be left out. So you got the Michigan-Ohio State winner in. You would have LSU and Georgia in at that point, and then you would have another grouping. If TCU goes undefeated, they would be in. They would be the 4th in. But if TCU loses a game, then you've got a lot of one-loss teams on the outside looking in. It would really shock me if the committee would put in 3 SEC teams. I cannot imagine that happening. So in that case, though, I think LSU would be in the SEC champion, with those wins you're talking about over Georgia, over Alabama, over Ole Miss. I mean, I think that would be enough to get them in.
Ross Dellinger from Sports Illustrated. Thank you, man. We'll touch base soon.
All right, guys. See y'all.
All right, there he is. Delly. Make sure and read his work at Ross Dellinger. Remember, daily we are brought to you by our friends over at Barker Brothers Plumbing and Works. Jude Barker and the crew over at Barker Brothers Plumbing and Works, #1 and a #2 business. Give them a call today, 225-776-2431, 225-776-2431. If you mention the show, they'll take 15% off. They got 2 trucks in East Baton Rouge Parish on this side of the on this side of the bridge every single day. So if you need some help over here in EBR, they can help you out. Just get in touch with Barker Brothers Plumbing and Works, 225-776-2431. Mention the show, save 15%. Barker Brothers Plumbing and Works, #1 and a #2 business. The Carpool Queen is here. We'll reset. We got the second hour coming your way next. Jordy Culotta Show, driven and powered by Go Chevrolet. Donaldsonville Glass and Body, the trusted name in frame, body, and automotive paint repair since 1977. They have served their customers for over 45 years. You can find them online at dgbauto.com or stop in and see them Railroad Avenue and Division Street out in Donaldsonville, Louisiana. Look, they can help you with your insurance claims. They can make the repair process as stress-free as possible. I'm speaking from experience here. I've got numerous windshields, body repair, all done by Kenny and the crew over at Donaldsonville Glass and Body. They are, without question, the most well-equipped shop in the area. Stop in and see them today. Shop them online, dgbauto.com, or stop in and see the crew over in Division Street in Donaldsonville, Louisiana. Donaldsonville Glass and Body. Hey fellas, it's Jordy Culotta for my friends over at Men's Total Health. Guys, do you suffer from fatigue, decreased libido, erectile dysfunction, weight gain or loss of muscle mass, signs of depression, anxiety, hair loss, mental fog, general loss of interest? Then you might be suffering from low testosterone. Go see my friend Mike Roach and his great team over at Men's Total Health, over in Metairie at menstotalhealth.net online. And stop in and see how they can change your life today. A simple shot and some knowledge from Mike Roach can get you back up, moving with your energy, get your sex drive back, build your muscle mass, make you feel young again. All online, menstotalhealth.net. Red Stick Sports, a local staple in Baton Rouge to all sports fans, was founded back in 1981 and has remained a family business for over 40 years. Today, they still have the great selection on the floor, but they're also a leader in custom apparel for businesses, sports teams, and other groups. Take it from us, everybody over here at FM Digital Media. They help us out with all of our apparel. Let them help you out today. Go ask for Cody over at Red Stick Sports. Check him out online at redsticksports.biz. I was embarrassed about my smile. Are you unhappy at yours? Do you not smile back at yourself? I called my friend, Dr. Spillers, over at Johnson Spillers. He fixed my smile, and now everywhere I go, people are complimenting it after the work that Dr. Spillers and the staff did to my mouth. They can do it to yours. Get in touch with them. JohnsonSpillers.com. 2 locations, one in Gonzales, one in Baton Rouge. Easy to find them, JohnsonSpillers.com. We love the crew over at Fresh Chef Kitchen. Chef Shane and his crew dropping off the meals every Monday here to FM Digital Media, whether it's breakfast, lunch, dinner. Me or the crew's going through our meals over at Fresh Chef Kitchen. Their weekly pre-order, freshly made meals, or you can walk into the cooler over there on Airline Highway. They have that fresh, same service over there at Fresh Chef Eats. FreshChefEats.com is where you can find them online. Fresh Chef Kitchen. Tell them you heard it right here on the Jordy Culotta Show. Are you looking for sound financial advice? Then get in touch with Daniel Newman of Edward Jones. You can call him today at 225-261-8262 or email him daniel.newman@edwardjones.com. If you're planning for retirement, saving for college for children or grandchildren, or just looking for sound investment opportunities, get in touch with Daniel today, 225-261-8262, located on Magnolia Square Drive in Central. Daniel Newman of Edward Jones.
Hi, this is Dan Canterbury. Join myself and the legend, Coach Skip Burtman, for Hold the Rope Tuesday nights on YouTube. You can go to @Hold the Rope, Skip and Cano. Skip, tell them what we do.
We've got a lot of education. We've got some people that can tell you a lot about a lot of things. In the area of sports, we have a lot of entertainment. We got a lot of energy putting this in. I think you'll like it.
So join us for Hold the Rope.
Welcome back to the Jordy Culotta Show, driven and powered by Go Chevrolet.
How many times a day do I ask that? Oh, God, were we live?
What do you mean he can hear me?
Is Gary Red here?
Gary's so hot. Yeah, he's still right here.
Yeah, he's listening to us.
Hey, Gary.
Hour 2
Red
coming
dog.
up. We're going to talk to our friend Zach Ewing, who is going to be in studio with us. As we will break down some of the lines this weekend. We'll give you some of the plays. Obviously, we'll talk USC, UCLA, as that's the big one on the college football docket. Tulane at home tonight at Ullman, as they'll be hosting SMU. The Pony Express will be in town tonight, taking on Tulane, who's looking for a little bounce back after last week, as they were trounced.
Let me give you some trivia for men's basketball versus Tulane.
Hit me.
Are y'all ready?
They play UNO tonight.
I meant New Orleans. I didn't mean Tulane. You just said Tulane, didn't you?
Start
I did.
trivia.
Did you say Tulane? Okay.
Welcome to the show, Carpool Queen.
All right.
She's
LSU
under
men's
the
basketball,
influence.
They've won 6 consecutive games against New Orleans, including a 94-53 blowout in 05. LSU's leading scorer that day would later go on to be drafted by the Seattle Supersonics. Who was it?
Say it one more time.
Well, you weren't even listening.
I wasn't.
No,
I'm reading this police report.
Okay, well, we'll get to that.
Shots fired on campus.
LSU men's basketball has won 6 consecutive games against New Orleans, including a 94-53 blowout in 2005.
Yep.
Who was LSU's leading scorer that day that would go ahead to be drafted by the Seattle Supersonics?
1995?
No, 2005. Damn it, Jordy.
2005.
Culotta, are you awake in class?
Seattle Supersonics drafted from an LSU player?
Yes.
2005.
He was the leading scorer that day against New Orleans, and he would later go on to be drafted by.
I mean, damn, I worked on the 2005 team.
Well,
damn, Jordy.
Does anybody else know?
I'm trying to think.
What were you doing?
He was reading something else, clearly. The whole season.
Yeah, right.
He was reading an email.
Tyrus, roll us another one. One more.
Hurry up. Wait, you want some more shoes?
Wait, hang on.
Tyrus,
Brandon Bass was drafted off of the 2005 team by the New Orleans Hornets. I'm trying to think who else on the 2005 team was drafted.
Do you have to pull up the roster?
I feel like
I feel like I can name the roster. Pull up the roster and let me do.
Right.
This is kind of this is kind of embarrassing. This is very
You worked
embarrassing.
for the team. All right, so 2000.
No, it wasn't. No, okay, so 2005.
Yes, I'm a
All
Glenn
right,
Davis.
So the roster is Glenn Davis is a freshman, Brandon Bass, Garrett Temple, Darnell Lazar.
I feel like I need to read the question.
Ross
again.
Neltner.
Did I read it wrong?
Is on that team. He ended up transferring to Vanderbilt.
Yeah, he doesn't make the roster on this one.
Daryl Mitchell.
Yes.
Is on that team. Xavier Whipple is on that team, right?
He didn't make the list either. What I have is Glenn Davis, Daryl Mitchell, Tasman Mitchell, Tyrus Thomas, Darnell Lazar, Garrett Temple, Magnum Roll.
No,
Shout
see,
out.
that's the wrong one.
It's
You've got
2000
2006 because Tasman Mitchell was a freshman on the 2006 roster. Give somebody else this responsibility. Lloyd can't handle this. Bring up the 2005.
2005 team. Okay, here we go. Now you're all over it. Brandon Bass, Glenn Davis, Daryl Mitchell, Tack Miner.
I got one for you, too. How about Regis Kunja was on that team?
He is.
Ended up
Sophomore.
transferring to Georgetown.
But it's not the guy.
I know.
Josh Maravich.
Josh Maravich was on that team.
Why don't you play the Maravich boy? Coach, he's no good.
Told the motherfucker not even to come here.
What kind of pressure you're putting on me?
All right, they had a white point guard.
I don't think it was him.
Fundamentally sound.
That was Josh Maravich.
No, that was the next year. Ben Voogd.
Yes.
I mean, y'all have already said the names several times. So can I at least say that?
We've already said the name of somebody
even
that was...
from the 06 roster.
Oh, well, you said he was drafted in 05.
No, I didn't. I said this was the 05 game. He would later go on to be drafted by the Seattle Supersonics. That's what I said.
You confused me with the question.
This is toward a shit show. This is turning.
Yeah, I need it. That's on the.
That's on the university.
Yeah, right. Let me talk. Can I speak to your boss?
Everybody's failing the test.
Everybody's
Repeat the question. Repeat the question. Repeat the question,
lost
please.
control of the classroom.
No, listen, damn it.
Repeat
this
the
is
question.
the last time I'm saying this.
I'm cheating
Y'all
on this
ruined
test.
this segment. LSU men's basketball has won 6 consecutive games against New Orleans, including a 94-53 blowout in 2005. LSU's leading scorer that day would later go on to be drafted by the Seattle Supersonics.
Glenn Davis, he was traded to the Boston Celtics.
Yes, damn it. Glenn Davis. He scored 20 points that day and 16 rebounds.
I'm putting that on the reader.
Sick of this.
Yeah. That's on the prompter.
I thought the question asker there that time was the problem.
Proctor was terrible.
You got 3 guys that know LSU
I feel
basketball
like
that are
I
all
read
confused.
it very clearly.
Let's stay on that 2005 team. Let me see if I can go down the roster here. Where are we? Darnell Lazar was on that team. Daryl Mitchell was on that team. Xavier Whipple was on that team,
Yes,
correct?
he was, senior.
Okay, yes, that's right. Former state champion quarterback in Georgia high school football. Was a stud high school football player. Ross Neltner was on that team.
He was. 6'9", 240.
Glenn Davis was a freshman. Garrett Temple was a freshman. Tyrus Thomas was a freshman.
Man, what a
He
team.
redshirted that year, huh?
Tyrus redshirted that year. He had a neck injury in an exhibition game. He would have played as a true freshman, but he hurt his neck. And I used to have to drive him to get the shot in his neck, and the needle, I swear, was this long.
Oh.
It was like a, it wasn't a spinal tap, but it was like what they put in your neck, and it was
Spinal.
It was freaky. It was freaky. How many players left on the board? Lloyd?
You probably have. Okay.
Probably. I need a. I mean, what do you mean you're
Well,
looking at them?
We've gone back and forth from 04 to 05 to 05 and 06.
Tack Miner was on that team.
Yes, he was.
For God's sakes, my roommate.
10 points a game.
Yeah, that was his best year.
So you have one left.
I got one left?
No, you have. Did you say? I think you have 3 left, and they all might be white.
Yeah, all right. They had a
Definitely
white
not
point. They had a
Pittman.
white point guard out of Lake Charles, who I'm forgetting his name. Is it Charlie Thompson?
I think you're thinking of David Fleshman.
No, Flesh was a walk-on.
Well, he's on the roster.
Okay.
Paul Wolfert
Paul Wolfert.
from Illinois.
Jaime Ureta broke his jaw in a pickup game.
I wonder how that happened.
Somewhere?
Paul Wolfert? Yeah, probably to sell insurance.
No,
0
Walford
points
was
a game.
Walford was actually like from Illinois. He was like from Chicago.
Illinois. Yeah.
His dad played basketball at LSU, and he came down here.
He didn't play after college?
I don't think he played after college.
No, he doesn't even have a stat.
I don't think he played after college.
The name is so familiar.
Regis Kunja you got. Darnell Lazar you got. Xavier Whipple. And then there's one more. Ross Dellinger.
I said Ross Dellinger.
Oh, okay, there we go. Then we
He's white for
touched
sure,
them all.
I mean, he hit the game winner versus Alabama that year. And then he transferred to Vanderbilt.
He did.
And Vanderbilt was actually like
Well,
the
he played a ton.
preseason team that everybody was kind of looking at in 2006 that was going to be a problem. And then LSU just ran up in there and just rolled through the league. Regis Kunja transferred to Georgetown.
Neltner got some run.
Yeah, Neltner played, bro. Neltner was Mr. Kentucky basketball.
Could you do this for every
about that?
season? Like if we kept going, like 2007.
It takes them a while to get
2008.
there, as you saw.
Like, could you just start rattling these?
Well, the
players off of where they
2004,
went?
5, and 6 team.
You were heavily involved.
I was there.
Yeah.
I mean, like I was there every day. Was at practice.
Okay.
I mean, like I knew those. I lived with Tack.
Yeah,
You know
that's
what I
true.
mean? And they would like all those guys would like come over and hang out.
Yeah.
So that was probably the closest I've ever been to any team.
Yeah.
At LSU. So I mean, that is really my wheelhouse of basketball. But yeah, I mean, I feel like I could go play. Where y'all want? What y'all want to do?
I feel like
Hit me.
you could
Was
too.
David Fleshman in the cut, stopping by the WCA?
For sure. Me and Flesh were driving them everywhere. I mean, really.
I need your help.
Yeah, right.
You got a car?
I think Flesh and Garrett lived together.
I see what these. This is very responsible by John Brady.
So what
Make
were
sure
you
you always
saying,
have a rod.
What were you saying in the middle of the trivia question about an on-campus shooting? You wanted to get
There
to
was a
that?
shooting
What's
last
going
night.
on? Last night?
LSU Police Department reports to shots fired on campus at 2:45 this morning. An alert read, officers are investigating a report shots fired near Dalrymple and West Lakeshore. Avoid the area. It's my bike route.
Ooh, Jordy.
You were almost awake.
You were almost awake probably at 2:45, huh? What, does anybody know details about this?
That's all I see.
Like, was anyone injured?
I don't see anything of anyone being hurt.
That's frightening.
Damn, BB, Brian Burgess probably beat you out there, though.
He's in Pigeon Forge.
What is that?
What is Pigeon Forge?
Mm-hmm.
It's
what
a
is it? Like
city
Camp David?
in Tennessee, like where Dollywood is. Like mountainy, you rent like a cabin and.
Ah, cool area.
Yeah, you know Dollywood,
Ooh.
Dolly
No,
Parton's
this adds-
amusement
ooh,
park.
Yeah, I don't know what Dollywood is, but it sounds like
It's Dolly Parton's amusement park.
it sounds like.
Oh, is it just a bunch of silicone? I thought that would be Silicon Valley.
Is that like Graceland? Does she live there?
I don't know if she lives there. I'm sure she has a home around there, but no. I mean, it's like it's like Disneyland, but it's Dollywood.
Sounds like I should.
Dollywood.
I mean, it's
sounds like I
it's
should
like
hit up the
country,
plug before I go.
Like,
lip injection. You
Like-
just catch Botox.
Yeah.
Just walk, you just get free
yeah,
samples.
you just get implants while
Yeah.
you're walking through. There's one ride. They just put you down, put them in. You come out on the other side.
New body.
Honey,
Come
I'm
out
old.
looking like Jessica Rabbit.
Yes,
It only lasts for 24 hours.
exactly.
Wears off.
They dissolve.
It's biodegradable, like a raccoon with cotton candy.
Anybody heading to the PMAC tonight?
No.
Was it
I don't
men's
think
basketball
so.
tonight?
Men's basketball tonight.
Is that tonight?
LSU ladies rolled
I was about
last
to say,
night.
100
Another
points again.
It was Friday
100
night.
points.
But there's
11
another
a.m.
Friday
game for
night,
basketball.
I love those.
I like it too. I mean,
I love
middle of a
those.
school day. You don't
I
have to go to
mean,
class.
like,
Hey.
what an
I'm working.
excuse. Could you imagine walking by the PMAC as a student being like, where's everybody going? There's a basketball game. Be like, Fuck class.
Counting.
Yeah, right.
That's like
Are
a
you
field
kidding
trip
me?
destination,
Gotta go
too,
see
for,
Monkey's
middle
outfit.
schools.
Yeah.
That's like a field trip for middle
Yeah,
school.
that is.
too.
Well,
lot
it's a
of
great.
them
It's a great way to fill the.
Oh, those are the worst.
Oh, it was loud in there.
Oh,
too.
can
All
you
hear is
imagine?
Screaming kids.
And nothing but field day up in there.
It is.
We did that for Northwestern State, an 11 a.m. Sunday game.
Ugh.
After a Saturday night in the Cove,
Ugh.
celebrating Northwestern's maybe first almost win.
Ugh.
Stayed out. It's the bar in Natchitoches. I
First
think it got
almost
closed
win.
down. But we would go and we almost pulled one off. I think our Incarnate Word scored in the last play of the game.
Incarnate Word.
So we get back from what's my stadium at Natchitoches? Turpin?
Turpin,
No,
yeah. That's
it
what it is.
Yeah, Turpin. Go to the Cove. Had one DJ, smoke machine.
Was
and he
this
was
in
just
high school?
no. This is when I worked at Northwestern State. I was a
Oh.
graduate assistant.
Okay.
And we would fuck with the DJ. He'd play it off his iPod, like off his phone, so we'd always distract him and grab his phone and play a bunch of songs. So like y'all just can't get kicked out. It's like there's nobody in here. Like we're doing your job
Y'all
for
don't
you,
even
man.
have a bouncer, so
Yeah, I know him. But then we probably stayed out till like 3 a.m. Had to get there for like 8 on Sunday, and I was like, I have to work this women's game, and it was Kids Day, and it was holy hangover.
man.
Just my
the worst.
god,
Hated
it was
it.
the worst. I would have been fine, except for the
Except for those
100
damn kids.
screaming kids that knew every song that came over the PA and were yelling it at the top of their lungs. And I was like, I just left and went and threw up. I was like, I'm gonna go do something. Some lady saw me in the street, and she was like, "Are you okay?" I was like, "Does it look like I'm fucking okay, lady?" Like, no. I'm in my Northwestern polo puking. Like, I gotta go back to work.
Student worker.
Yeah. Don't tell Doug.
Does it look like I'm okay?
Doug.
That's my student. There was what was the song? Welcome to my house. We don't have to go
Flo Rida.
out. Yeah, they knew every word, and they were like, "Play it again, play it again." It's like, oh, well,
I wanna die.
commit a tragedy here of myself.
Nobody noticed.
Yeah, I needed Mike Reed to throw me in the
Step
closet.
over the student.
I went to
His
LSU.
lips are blue.
Yeah, he's fine.
He'll be all right.
Can of corn,
He's got work today.
Diet Coke.
Katie, speaking of, Katie, tell them about Dead Soxy.
Dead Soxy, y'all have 2 more days to get 40% off. Use the code Jordy. Go to deadsoxy.com. Get your game day socks. Get your Christmas gifts. They can help you with corporate gifts. I would go ahead and use that code for Christmas gifts. You can't get much better than that. I ordered a 12-pack of the athletic socks yesterday using this code.
I need a
I'm so
pair.
excited. We tell y'all all the time the the athletic socks and the no-shows are the best.
Did you get the one with the stripes on them, or is
No, I got the plain white.
Oh, sorry, David.
Plain white.
Yeah, I'm
I
gonna
have
get
some.
some of those.
I have some of the stripes already.
Yeah.
I got the plain white.
The plain white seem like they'd be super comfortable.
They really are. They're the best socks I've ever put on my feet. Honestly, not just telling y'all that.
What
you
an
have the
endorsement.
no-shows on. Lloyd
I
has the
think I do.
no-shows on.
I think I
Take
do.
your shoe off.
think
Show
these
us your
Lloyd
feet.
never wears matching socks.
Yeah.
But he does today.
Would you
I did
expect?
today.
Look at him.
No, they're 2 different ones. This
They
is the
are.
Dead Soxy, I
I see
believe.
that.
Two
No,
different
it's not.
socks.
It's Steve Madden. I see the bottom.
Steve Madden.
Anyway, use the code Jordy. Get up to 40% off. You have up until kickoff for the UAB game to use that code and get the discount.
You're doing a great job.
deadsoxy.com.
Sometimes you go for it.
All right, we talked about LSU and how they built this roster, right? How they've gotten themselves into contention, coming from 37 scholarship players like they had the night they pulled out of the Texas Bowl on January 4th to heading into the final 2 regular season games as SEC Western Division champs and how they got there, right? And Brian Kelly has talked about this throughout the season of dipping into the transfer portal, and then Shea Dixon asked him earlier this week about the 15 freshmen that he had signed. And while Shea's asking the question, he kind of jumps in there and said, if I could have signed more, I would have. I wanted to. You can see that the top priority, or at least one of the top priorities of Brian Kelly, LSU football right now, is to restore the roster, is to get the numbers right, to get the depth put back into the program and just have options at positions where coming in, or at least pulling out of the January 4th bowl game. I see y'all over there.
I mean, there was 2 good ones.
Yeah, right. You're welcome.
Coming in and pulling
I had to
out.
like lean over the microphone.
Yeah, I know.
My
I
eyes
see
got
it.
big.
I see.
Oh,
I
yeah.
knew when I was setting y'all up. Hey, y'all gonna acting like little grade school kids over there.
Pervert.
It's Kids Day at Northwestern, boy. Bring them back. You want to put on
I
Flo Rida
wish
here?
those parents would have pulled out.
Exactly. Exactly.
That's the best birth control I could have gotten.
But as they pulled out of the Houston Bowl with only 37 players, they inserted into the season the next year a very healthy team, right? A team that
picked up some protection.
Was built off of the transfer portal. And like we said, we were talking about margin of victory or margin of error for TCU, very slim, right? LSU's margin of error for their freshman class was paper thin, right? I mean, they had to hit on the majority of these guys. These guys had to come in and look, you couldn't wait on them to develop. You couldn't ask these guys to redshirt. You had to get production from key spots from true freshmen. I mean, the output that they are getting in key roles like their offensive tackles in Emery Jones, Will Campbell, their starting linebacker, Harold Perkins, their number one tight end in Mason Taylor. And don't look now, but maybe the third option at linebacker right now is DeMar Tolian, the another true freshman out of Florida who's continuing to emerge here late into the season and become another one of these young guys that you're going to have to pay attention to heading into the offseason, heading in even into bowl prep. I mean, he's on the field, man. I mean, he is starting to play a lot, and he's a guy that has a similar, type of athleticism to him, that he's not Harold Perkins by any means, but he's that type of player where he plays well in space. He's tough to block one-on-one. He's very physical and aggressive. And if you've watched LSU over the last couple of weeks, he's getting on the field. I mean, he's going to be tough to keep off the field as the games continue to roll on. So now with a year of being on the job, a year of being able to push and sell the message on the road to recruits, and being able to kind of oversee what goes into the transfer portal just like that. I mean, like in 10 months, LSU has literally gone from a team that had zero expectation to compete in the league and throughout the sport this season to Western Division champs in the toughest conference in college football. I think that LSU is going to be the great example that teams look at when they hire coaches that say, hey, look, you may think you're far off. You may think that we are 2, 3, a couple of recruiting cycles away. But in reality, look what LSU did in the first year under Brian Kelly. Look how they built that team and a collection of guys that wanted to be there. How many times has Kelly said, right? When they went into the transfer portal, the two qualifications were, first, you had to be able to play, and second, you had to want to come to LSU. You had to want to be in the locker room. So what did they do? They went out and got a bunch of Louisiana guys, right? Whether it's like Fouché or Brooks at Arkansas, or even a guy like Colby Fields at South Carolina, who is out there playing Southeastern Conference football, and they just want to come home. I mean, you can even rewind it before Kelly got there to a guy like Major Burns. He wanted that LSU offer. He wanted that LSU scholarship when he was at Madison Prep right here in Baton Rouge. Ed Ogeron, Derek Panamsky shit the bed on it, screwed it all up for everybody. Major Burns ends up at Georgia the whole time while he's on the best roster in football. I mean, a year later, Georgia wins the national championship, and Major Burns is homesick. He wants to come home. He wants to get back to LSU. Those are the types of players that Kelly, Frank Wilson, the staff were looking for when they opened up the doors to the transfer portal. Can you play? Do you want to be at LSU? If you check those two boxes first, they'll give you a shot. And now you look around, and I mean, those are the guys that are really making the impacts. And then you look down the line, and guys like Miles Frazier, Jaden Daniels, guys that they had to go out and get because they wanted to secure depth at key positions. The offensive line was in shambles the night of the Texas Bowl. I mean, it was embarrassing to what they had at their disposal as a D1 SEC Western Division team. I mean, it was as bad as it could be. And to see how the depth was built, to see how the team and the roster was constructed, being where they were just a short time ago. I mean, in a college football calendar, 10 months is a short window. And look at the amount of work that LSU did in 10 months. I mean, they went from being blown out in Houston by Kansas State with a wide receiver at quarterback to, if you watched LSU Gold, the latest, Brian Kelly, which I love, the way he addresses his team going into the second half at Arkansas is the best team in the country, is what he calls them. I might not believe it. We may not believe it. You might not believe it. But as we've been saying over the last couple of weeks, they believe it. LSU football believes that they can go anywhere right now and beat anybody. Can they go into the Georgia Dome and beat the Bulldogs? Probably not, but don't tell them that. And when you got a group, when you got a team, when you got everybody that's pulling in one direction and they believe that they can do anything, that to me is one of the most powerful things, not only in sports, the most powerful thing that you can find. Think about your company. Think about your business. Think about whatever it is that you have going on. If you've got full alignment, if you've got full buy-in, if everybody you look at, you can see it in their eye, we're all pulling in the same direction. We're all believing in the same thing, right? We're about to make some difference. We're about to create some change. We're about to catch some momentum, right? LSU feels like that monster right now in college football. I mean, Kelly in the locker room at Arkansas says when you pay attention to the details, when you do the little things, when you think correctly, you're the best team in the country. He says it as if he has said that to them numerous times. It's not the first time they've heard it. It's not the first time they've heard it from him. And when I saw it, I kind of sat up straight and thought to myself, damn, look at the way he talks to these guys. Look at the way he expects them to believe in themselves. And I'm telling you, nobody blinks when he says it. You may have seen it by now. I mean, it's out there. It's the latest LSU Gold. Look behind, right? To see what LSU, how they prepared, what they did last week in Arkansas. Ugly game. But I love the way that Kelly communicates with his squad, man. I love the way that he built this team in a short amount of time. Like I said, I think LSU, if they get in as the first two-loss team into the college football playoff, wear the crown. The crown that they're already wearing, in my opinion, is the new age model of how to redesign your football program in a year. Everybody can look at LSU as an example of, I mean, there's a lot of coaches that have taken jobs that have told the AD and the president, I need 2 years. I need 2 recruiting classes to restore order in the locker room. I need to get my coaches right. I need a little time to get this done. Now the athletic director and the president will say, why don't you just do what they did down in Baton Rouge?
Coach need the resources.
And a lot of those jobs that are being replaced and are open have the same amount of resources that LSU does.
Oh, no, I'm just saying what Brian Kelly said, where
Sure.
he's like, I think it's a combination of 2 things. Well, 3. Brian Kelly, excellent coach, as we've seen. He's won everywhere he's gone. That's easy. 2, new age transfer portal where you weren't able to rebuild like this in any other instance in college football until Brian Kelly. It's just a perfect meeting of time and location, essentially. And that would be my 3rd reason is whenever he got to Baton Rouge, it's a direct shot at pretty much Notre Dame saying, look, I've been in a lot of places, been at big-time programs. Nothing holds a candle to what LSU has. And that's just him. Like, it's still fresh on his mind that, look, Notre Dame really wasn't my fault. I did what I could there. But when you give me everything that I'm asking for, this is what you get in year 1.
You get the sense at Notre Dame he had taken it as far as it can go.
Right, and that's what he still said. Like, he wants to get that across as if, look, whatever happened at Notre Dame, which is all, I would say, good things, he's still saying, look, I could have won there had you given me X. LSU is giving me X, and look at what we're doing in my, like I said, first year.
I don't know if Notre Dame could have offered what LSU offers him. And this is meant with all due respect, but just from an academic standpoint, you can't pull the same players.
No.
Right? And that's the facts of it. And that was a roadblock for Brian Kelly at Notre Dame. There's a section of the recruiting ground that's totally, you can't even pay attention to. And a lot of that portion is filled with 4- and 5-star guys, or at least guys that can really change the direction of a program, guys that end up in the SEC. And now with Kelly leading one of the biggest brands. Did anybody see Colin Cowherd yesterday? I don't watch Cowherd every single day. I think he's really good at his job because of what he's been able to accomplish in his career. Do I agree with every single one of his takes? No. But in our business, he's a great model and a great case study to look at success. He's worked at major corporations like ESPN and Fox. He has evolved into the digital age of being able to relate to people and get into your pockets, whether it be on social media or other ways. He's got the Volume Podcast Network right now that features guys like T-Bob Hebert and Aaron Murray doing SEC conversations. Colin Cowherd in our business, like him or love him or hate him or dislike him, whatever you feel about him, is successful, right? And yesterday, his take on Lincoln Riley and Brian Kelly leaving Oklahoma and Notre Dame respectively for USC and LSU was as on point and as direct and as good of a take as I've seen towards that topic that's been out there. It's on our Twitter, I believe. If not, we need to retweet it. It's all over the place if you haven't seen it. But Cowherd says just directly, it's obvious why Kelly and Lincoln Riley leave Norman, Oklahoma and South Bend, Indiana for brands like USC and LSU. And if you doubted it when they made the move, there's no way you can doubt it now. Because look up at the programs that they left and look at the programs where they are. As far as resources, brand recognition, and the expectance to win, LSU and USC, we could both agree, we can all agree, respectively, they're back. Like they're in the conversation late in November of being playoff teams. That alone in year one of Lincoln Riley and Brian Kelly is a win in itself. Scott Woodward, President William Tate, the administrators at LSU, the board of directors, the boosters, everybody that had a piece of making that decision has to be saying to themselves, 11 months in, this couldn't go any better. Just as much as I assume that the brass out in Los Angeles that oversee the University of Southern California's football department are probably saying, wow, we didn't pay Lincoln Riley enough. That 20,000 square foot house we gave him up in the Hollywood Hills ain't big enough. Because look at the return we're getting on this guy. We've got a chance to go to the playoff in the last week of the season. Hell, even if we don't, that's a win. In year one, and while those guys are, look, man, the best of the best in college football of leading programs, it's still, they even recognize we got to get to a bigger brand. We got to get somewhere where they got the resources that can really make this thing happen. I mean, if you see the nutrition department at LSU, I mean, it looks like Warner Brothers. I mean, they have enough nutritionists, they've got enough scientists, they've got enough people on staff that can directly tell you how to get from point A, B to C to make sure that they're hoisting a trophy and walking across stage and grabbing a diploma, that they're walking their hands up to it. Kelly's got the model. Here's the plan. Put this in place and see what happens. Coach, 11 months into your plan, you're playing for a Western Division title. I mean, look at the way he talks about it. He expects it. He knows he's a good coach. He's been doing it for 35 years. He's the winningest coach in Notre Dame football history. You know how good that looks on a resume? I mean, if you're a college football coach and on the top of your resume, I'm the winningest coach in Notre Dame history. Damn, they got really good tradition over there, man. They've been playing football for a long time. Yeah, I'm the guy that's done it the best, or at least I got the most wins. Okay, this guy can coach. I wonder what he could do around a program that obsesses about winning, that builds facilities for anything that the coach or the player may need, and has enough money where everything's in play. I don't know. Put him down at LSU, see what happens. LSU's a dumpster fire. The place is billowing smoke. They got people leaving They got lawsuits coming. The brand's in shambles. Let's see what happens. 11 months on the gig. LSU looks like it's all cleaned up, and they're playing for an SEC title. Next 5 years could be fun around here. Right? I mean, that's what we're entering. That's where LSU is. And that's why I think it's incredible to see where Kelly is in year one when you really think back what he took over. I mean, I'm still getting texts from people that were at SEC Media Day with us like, I can't believe this, man. I can't believe he's taking LSU to Atlanta in year one. I mean, the conference, college football, people are on notice. And it's not like, hey, LSU might have got it right. It's, oh, shit, LSU got it right. What could this mean for the rest of the league, for the rest of the sport? We've talked about it for a long time around here. How many frustrating conversations have you had with your partners, with your crew, with your family, with anybody that cares about LSU football like you do, and wonder how many teams is the program going to waste? How many All-Americans, how many draft picks, how many teams are going to come through here that look like they're as good as the last team standing, yet they got 4 losses, 3 losses. They got guys that are opting out. They got guys that are leaving early that aren't even being drafted. What would happen if they ever got a guy in here that could have everybody bought in, had everybody on a plan that was developing, had everybody staying until they exhausted all of those resources to make themselves as good as they could be to go to the next level? What would LSU look like? And now, 11 months into Kelly's gig, everybody are saying, oh, shit, I think we're about to find out. It looks like that, you know, he's going to be here for a while, and in the first season with a down team and a down roster and people that were doubting him coming in, will he fit? Does he fit? Is he going to be able to keep up in recruiting? Which, by the way, Tom Rinaldi had a great sit down with Kelly last week, and Rinaldi asked him directly, what was the one piece of criticism that when you accepted the job that you heard that made its way to your desk? And the one thing that Kelly fired back at Rinaldi without even kind of like having a chance to diagnose the question or digest the question, he said that I couldn't recruit. He said that was the thing that I really heard while we were at Notre Dame, and that's what I just gave you the answer to. I took that answer of what he said, and that's what, you know, that's why I'm saying now he's playing on an even playing field as Saban, Fisher, Smart, Kiffin, Heupel. You know, I mean, all these guys that are getting the recruits now it doesn't, you know, Kelly's first question had to be, what's your GPA? You know, like, how many extracurriculars are you in? You know, while, you know, Georgia, LSU, Tennessee are like, did you not take that second year of foreign language? Because it's all good, man. I mean, like, you don't have to have that. We can swipe that under a rug for a little English 092 to get you in if needed.
Go see Miss Smith on the third
right?
floor.
I mean, like, and Kelly would, you know, I mean, he knew it. He would be sitting in the living room and, like, you know, here comes Saban. Here comes Miles. Here comes, you know, Mark Richt, whoever it was at the time. And they're like, you know, I mean, we can't compete with that. I mean, the guy's got to have such and such GPA and so many credits in this to even be considered at Notre Dame. It doesn't matter if he runs 4.3. And now he's at the school that, no disrespect, puts more emphasis on the guy that runs the 4.3. Right? So it's also, you know, from an LSU standpoint, I think that this is, you know, you're kind of back into this period of like Renaissance. With, you know, with Brian Kelly, it's kind of like the Renaissance period of of rebuilding and redesign and seeing things that are new and fresh and things that you've been wondering. Like, I wonder why they don't do this for the guys. I wonder why they don't. That you look around and Alabama's doing this, and Georgia and Kirby Smart are doing this, and Lane Kiffin's even implementing it in Ole Miss. And why isn't LSU kind of really buying into that stuff? Now it seems like they're keeping up to speed with all of these programs, and they're doing it with a guy that, damn, man, you know?
And that's why I feel like, I don't want to say I guess it does feel early for sure. And what that's happening in year one. But whenever you put the totality of who LSU had before him, that's why it shouldn't shock LSU fans. Mm-hmm. Because now you're really seeing, you could have liked Les Miles, you could have liked Ed Orgeron, and that was part of the problem, is that you liked the guy. You didn't really look at what he did coaching-wise. You're just like, oh, I like him. This was a total, I guess at the beginning, like 180 of that, where it's, oh, I don't like him, but he can coach. And this is what happens when you get a coach in Baton Rouge to coach the talent that Baton Rouge has, especially if you keep all of the guys, or at least the majority of Louisiana in Louisiana. You see what happens whenever you marry a good coach with great talent.
And one of the most refreshing things was what, kind of going back to how the segment started, of how he built this roster. He has shown that the thing that he listened to the most, the things that, kind of the thing that annoyed him the most about the criticism was that he can't recruit. He showed you he can recruit any platform you have, right? Like whether it's transfer portal, whether it's incoming high school senior, whether it's you need an NIL deal, Harold Perkins, whatever it is, whatever the recruiting challenges of 2022 are, and they're much more challenging in 2022 than they were in 2020, he has been able to adapt. I mean, for instance, to me, it looks to me like Saban is getting a little tired. He's getting a little, kind of exhausted, and that's an easy stone to throw. And I don't, by no means am I saying he's over, it's done, because I'm not betting against the guy, right? I told Lil Jay yesterday, we were talking about this exact same topic riding around town. I said, bro, as soon as you bet against him, he's going to reel off 3 straight again.
That's true.
Right? I mean, even he was like, yeah, you're right. You know what I mean? Like, he didn't even know the full backstory of Saban. You know what I mean? Like, just how big of a, of Darth Vader he can be. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? He can come over and put a black cloud over you for another decade. He could be 80 reeling these things off. I mean, he's got the Brady Belichick effect to him where you're just like, hey, look, man, I've touched that stove once or twice before.
I know it's still hot.
Yeah, it's hot, And look, he's going to get rid of his coordinators in the offseason. And that's one thing that Brian Kelly it's going to be a test that he's going to have to pass to keep up with the Alabamas, the Georgias, the top-line programs, the people that are going to have their coordinators cherry-picked for either head coach jobs or NFL gigs, and you got to replace them. And you got to replace them and keep the program at the clip that it's running at. Right? And Saban does that masterfully. Smart's done a pretty good job of it. He doesn't have the time that, but I mean, like Lanning going to Oregon, he's kept that defense up. I know that's his side of the ball, but still, that's a top-notch coordinator you have to replace that's taken a Power 5 job. And you got to keep up in recruiting. You got to keep up with scheme. You got to keep up with development. You got to keep up with the message. All of that stuff, you can't, there's no margin. There's no room for any type of drop-off, no slip. Because if you slip, then Kirby Smart rolls into the defensive recruits house that LSU's on and saying, Matt House is going to the league, man. He's going back to the NFL. He's going to be a coordinator for the New York Giants next year, let's just say. And Brian Kelly's going to have to replace House with a guy that Kirby Smart can't come in behind LSU and say, that guy's a bum. Like, I've been coaching defense for 30 years. I know that guy. He can't even draw 4-3 on the board. And I'm not saying that Brian Kelly's going to do it, but you got to pass that test. If your coordinators get cherry picked, you got to have a short list of guys that you say, all right, you're up. Because that's what's about to happen in Tuscaloosa. That's what happened in Athens, and they're able to keep up. That's what's happening to the championship level programs and it's also a byproduct of winning. Right. When you have success, when you're winning and you're top page news of college football every single week, every single, television shows talking about you, talking about how good the defense is, people pay attention and they want it. So there's either some NFL owner or some president of a university that says our football team sucks. They keep talking about LSU. I can't get Brian Kelly. I want the closest thing to him. You want Mike Denbrock or Matt House? Yes, I want to talk to them. I mean, that's what LSU is entering. So that'll be a test that Kelly has to pass in the offseason.
You saw it happen in 2019.
Yeah.
Joe Brady and
that's
Aranda.
what happens.
Yeah.
You knew that was going to happen to that team.
No doubt.
Katie's Restaurant in Mid-City over in New Orleans. If you're down there today, stop in and see our friends over at Katie's in Mid-City. Easy to shop the menu.
Pizza aisle.
The wide array menu of Katie's in Mid-City is online at katiesinmidcity.com. katiesinmidcity.com. Katie, what you got?
3701 Iberville Street and Francesca by Katie's at 515 Harrison Avenue. It's
he runs from Katie's Restaurant.
Right? All over the Food Network, Travel Channel, diners, drive-ins, and dives. They have a very extensive menu, including St. Louis style pizza, which we will one day partake in. Go visit Katie's in Mid-City.
We should get one and eat it on the show.
We really should. I really want to know what it is.
Mail us one.
Mail us one.
Put it in some, what is it, dry
Scott,
ice?
Bring us some pizza. Bring us some St.
Dry
Louis
ice.
style pizza. We can do it. Katie's in Mid-City.
What did old Gaffy Daddy eat over there? Okay.
We'll take a break and be right back with Zach.
What a tease.
Looking to book a dumpster but no idea how? We've made it quick and easy for you. Check out our website at moralesrolloffs.com. Let Morales Roll-Offs know your desired delivery date, and finally, provide your contact details. To make payment, look out for an email invoice with all your booking details. On delivery day, our driver will notify you through text and email that your dumpster is ready and on the way. Now you know how easy and convenient it is. Call Morales Roll-Offs at 225-427-0000 for your dumpster.
Hey Baton Rouge, when traveling through Natchez, Mississippi, whether you need to fill up your vehicle or your belly, stop by Go-Mart and On The Go Deli. Go-Mart has clean restrooms, community coffee, an awesome beer cave, and a great selection of anything you might need on your trip. So stop by Go-Mart at 4 Sergeant Prentice Drive as you're entering Natchez on the left, and visit Tom and Wright Granning and their awesome team at Go-Mart.
Don't let the name fool you. Men's Total Health has offerings for the ladies, too. Guys, is your wife or partner suffering from urinary incontinence, low sexual desire, or pain during sex? Then the O-Shot might be for her. Don't let it scare you. It's totally natural. It's PRP. And Mike Roach and the crew at Men's Total Health will make you as comfortable as you can be. Contact me for more information, Katie at JordyCulottaShow.com, and I'm happy to tell you everything that Men's Total Health has to offer for the ladies.
Do you suffer from chronic dehydration? Are you looking to improve your athletic performance and you need to get over and see our friends over at GoFlow IV? They're located on Jefferson Highway. Easy to find them online at GEAUXFlowIV.com. Make sure and use the promo code Jordy Culotta Show. If you do, they'll take 15% off of your initial visit. Check them out online, GEAUXFlowIV.com. Southern Eye Centers, located at 6859 Jefferson Highway, right here in Baton Rouge, has been serving your eyes for over 40 years in the capital region. They offer friendly service in a helpful environment with the highest level of personal care to manage your eye health and vision needs. If you want more information, log online to southernyecenters.com. That is southernyecenters.com. Stop in and check out their beautiful office located on Jefferson Highway, right here in the capital city. And remember, each time you walk in there and you mention the Jordy Culotta Show, Dr. Ann Shaw and Southern Eye Centers will take 25% off of their fantastic selection of sunglasses. All you got to do is mention the Jordy Culotta Show. Check them out SouthernEyeCenters.com and located at 6859 Jefferson Highway.
Looking to book a dumpster but no idea how? We've made it quick and easy for you. Check out our website at moralesrolloffs.com. Let Morales Roll-Offs know your desired delivery date, and finally, provide your contact details. To make payment, look out for an email invoice with all your booking details. On delivery day, our driver will notify you through text and email that your dumpster is ready and on the way. Now you know how easy and convenient it is. Call Morales Roll-Offs at 225-427-0000 for your dumpster.
We're all from different places and backgrounds. We've each experienced our own versions of life, but in the end, we're all on the same team. I'm part of that team, along with these players in purple and gold.
Kayshawn Buddha, Malik Neighbors, Miles Frazier,
Kyron Lacey, Greg Brooks. Whether on the field or in the courtroom, your team matters.
So join our team. Make a difference. Bet. Let's get it done.
Hey Baton Rouge, when traveling through Natchez, Mississippi, whether you need to fill up your vehicle or your belly, stop by Go-Mart and On The Go Deli. Go-Mart has clean restrooms, community coffee, an awesome beer cave, and a great selection of anything you might need on your trip. So stop by Go-Mart at 4 Sergeant Prentice Drive as you're entering Natchez on the left, and visit Tom and Wright Granning and their awesome team at Go-Mart.
Back here to a Thursday edition of the Jordy Culotta Show, driven and powered by Go Chevrolet. Hit that like button, share button, comment button for us if you don't mind. If you have not subscribed to the channel, make sure and hit that subscription for us on YouTube. Easiest way to keep up with us is subscribe, hit the bell. The bell will let you know when we go live. That way you'll be notified. Also, make sure and get your alerts for Where My Dog's At with Rohan Davey coming up tonight. Thursday night, and of course Mikey Matuk and the Mic'd Up crew. Great sit down with Paul Maneri yesterday, a little storytelling with P. Diddy, and who's there? Ochinko.
And
great
it's
storyteller.
funny. It's funny, these coaches, they can remember every scenario in every game you can go back 10 years, but when you start talking about what they did at practice and who they yelled at and what they said, it's
I don't recall.
I don't remember doing that. And it's like, oh, but you remembered it was a 3-2 count in the bottom of the sixth whenever you pulled me. And he's like, I don't remember saying that, though. And it was very interesting, but obviously very cool to see Paul Maneri, Ochinko, Jay Mitch, Mikey. They all have that 2009 championship together. Great bond. You could see, he almost tears up at the end a little bit on P-Money.
I bet.
Emotional guy, getting to see all of his guys again. So it was a great time, great show. Especially great first hour with Paul Money.
Those are the moments you probably think about while you're in it of life after baseball, is like relationship with your players, story time of like these great, years
it's all coming
and times.
back.
Yeah, right. I mean, like those are probably like the moments where you're like, this is it, man. This is life after baseball. All right, Zach
all
Ewing.
on the golf course together.
Yeah, right. Zach Ewing is a Thursday regular here. He is from The Advocate. We talk sports gaming and gambling. He is the head of that department over at The Advocate. Make sure you are following him on Twitter at ZEwing to keep up with the latest. And hopefully our guy has thawed out from his trip up to Pittsburgh. That game looked very boring on television, but more boring, it looked very cold. It looked frigid. You were there.
It was dreary, man.
Ugh.
It was dreary. Although it was, Pittsburgh's one of those places where they really care about their team, you
Sure.
know, and so that part of it was cool because the Steelers aren't any better than the Saints, but they're all there waving their towels and getting into it and bundled
We see your
up.
cute little towels.
But I have to admit, by the end of the fourth quarter, I was watching Red Zone on my laptop a little more than I was. I felt bad because I'm at the game, but I'm like, this is. There are so many bad teams in the NFL.
There is.
Like, it feels like 20 teams out of 32 are just like, that team's no good.
Do they want that?
To a certain extent, I think.
Because I wonder if they want bad parity or good parity.
They just want.
I think they just want.
They want everybody to have a chance, and look at the Saints. Well, the Saints are terrible, but technically they still have a chance.
I know.
Because the division is terrible and the teams they
crazy.
play are no good. The Rams, the defending Super Bowl champions. This is going to be a hard game. No, the Rams are terrible too.
I know.
So
Both LA teams.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just kind of a dreary season. I guess we got to wait for the playoffs and the cream to rise a little bit.
All right, so tonight Tulane is back on after last week as they fell for the first time this season. They got SMU at Ullman, and they're favored by 3.5. What has it been like with the Green Wave this season? What's your experience been like as they've been on this successful run? Have you been following them? Have you been betting them? What do you see from them?
Yeah, I mean, I got to admit I've stayed away most weeks because I just don't trust them, and that's cost me money most weeks. Last week it wouldn't have. It's a weird team. I mean, I feel like they're well coached and they have enough talent to compete, obviously. Maybe the depth isn't there. I mean, like the margin for error seems so small with them, where they had a couple of turnovers against UCF and then they fell behind and they're just not good enough to come back from that. So I don't know. I do kind of like them tonight in a bounce back spot. You worry a little bit about a short week after a tough loss. But SMU has been a lot of the same stuff where they score a ton of points, but they give up a ton of points. And so, with Tulane's defense, I kind of like them tonight to get a win to finish out their home schedule.
Thursday night NFL has been ugly. This one will probably stay the same. Tennessee is in Green Bay tonight, taking on the Packers. Packers favors -3 total here, 41 points. Anything jump out on this one?
Did it feel to you guys like Green Bay might have turned a corner last week?
A little bit.
A little bit.
A little bit. That's the only thing that
the
makes
wide
me...
receiver, number 9.
Yeah, Watson. Watson.
Yeah.
I mean, they still made a lot of mistakes in that game, and they got a pick 6, and if those things don't happen, they probably don't win the game. But it just felt like something was a little bit different, and maybe it's that Lambeau in November and December. And, like, if you watch our show, Jim Derry and I are always arguing about the Titans because I just don't like the Titans
I agree.
team. They're just not that good. I don't know how they keep winning.
Great coach.
Yeah, they have a great coach, and they've just been on this, like, turnover binge where they're like the opposite of the Saints. If you could just make the Saints even in turnovers, they'd probably be 6-3 or 6-4 instead of 3-7. If you made the Titans even, they'd be 3-7. I mean, like, that can't keep happening, right? Like, but it does. And so I don't trust either team all that much. If I had to lean one way, it would be Green Bay -3. The Titans just don't. I look at them and I know everybody loves Derrick Henry. You can only ride an every down back in the NFL for so long.
Uh-huh.
And if Green Bay doesn't turn the ball over, they're at home. They have that Lambeau mystique when the weather gets cold. I think they win tonight.
Aaron Rodgers in the turtleneck.
For sure.
That's when it comes out. I mean, you have to be thinking if
the
there's
single strap.
Yeah, I don't know how he gets away with that. They're worried about player safety.
He didn't even
buckle the thing.
Yeah.
But if you want to play an angle of this game, is it foolish once again to go down the under a tree?
No. I mean,
because as much as Tennessee runs the ball,
is it snowing? Is that a knock?
That's what I thought. No, that was a laptop, I think. I don't know if it's snowing, but look up the weather. But it's cold in Lambeau. I mean, it's November in Lambeau.
And wind does that more than snow does. I mean, if it's windy,
yeah.
Those quarterbacks aren't going to throw. Tannehill still has the ankle on his plant leg, so he's not going to be as effective as usual. So, yeah, I mean, I don't mind the under. It's a little bit low.
41?
41.
Yeah, 41, but
tease it.
Look, yeah, maybe you tease the Packers with the under. You get a few points and expect a low-scoring game.
A bad weekend on the card in college football. There's not a game that jumps out outside of USC, UCLA. Yeah. How do you look at those? I mean, do you look at marquee matchups as far as opportunities to make money, or are you just looking at a weekend like this one and trying to find the number that makes sense?
I'm just always looking at the numbers and how they change. I mean, I think I do like UCLA. It feels like they had that letdown last Saturday. I don't even think most people were in bed. They lost to Arizona.
I know, it's crazy.
And you wake up the next day and you say, "What the hell happened to them?" But now the pressure's kind of off. Like they don't have anything to lose. Pressure's all on USC. They're pretty even teams. So if I'm getting points with UCLA, I mean, home doesn't really matter in this case because they're in the same city. But like they're at home, I kind of like UCLA in that spot. I don't like. The other one, I said this a couple weeks ago when they were at Northwestern, Ohio State is very good. Why are they getting 28 points or laying 28 points on the road against Maryland? That's too many points. I mean, could they cover it? Yeah, but the way I'm looking at it as, what is the percentage chance they cover that? And to me, it's like less than 30-40%. And that's the bet I want to make is Am I going to win every time? No, but am I going to win 60% of the time? I'll sign up for that.
Sure.
And so I like Maryland with the points at home. SEC, like, couldn't you guys just see Auburn crashing and burning? Western Kentucky is,
yeah, they're
pretty good.
Because isn't Western Kentucky's favored?
No, Auburn's favored, but it's down to like 5 points.
Okay.
So you can get points with Western Kentucky, and it's like, they should have beat Indiana. I know Indiana's no good, but neither is Auburn.
Sure.
And if you look at a team that's just playing out the string, and if they're not playing out the string, they're probably looking ahead to the Iron Bowl. You want to face a team without your best focus that has these huge wide splits, and as soon as you fall asleep, there's a guy running wide open 50 yards down the field. Like, I think that's a good spot for Western Kentucky.
And then Sunday, NFL. Anything jumping at you?
Yeah, actually Monday night, Mexico City game.
Yeah.
I love the 49ers in this spot. The Cardinals are getting Murray back, so that I think the number has stayed down a little bit. It's at 8. It's 49ers minus 8. It could be 10, 12. That game's played at altitude. Mexico City's like 7,000 feet. If y'all watch the Sunday night game, now it was only a 6-point game, but the Niners wore the Chargers out.
Mhm.
Like on both lines, the Chargers are gassing at the end of that game. The Cardinals might not even be as deep as the Chargers. So I just feel like the 49ers can run. And if Kyler Murray is not an absolute hero, they don't have a chance in that game.
How about
he's hurt?
Yeah, he is. How about NBA and college basketball? Are you paying attention to any college hoops now that it's early season?
A little bit, yeah. I mean, Texas whooped on Gonzaga last night.
Yeah.
It would surprise me. Texas was favored by 2, but that's another one of those where if they show the line and you're going, wait, how's Gonzaga not favored in that game? They probably know something. Like, Texas is going to be really good. It's been a weird year. There's been a lot of upsets. Like, it seems like every night a Power 5 team goes down as a 10-point favorite to some directional school that you've never heard of. So,
speaking of,
bet underdogs.
Privateers catching 25 against
Woo.
LSU, which feels I haven't
that is
seen
a
anything
lot of
from
respect.
LSU basketball to think they're going to beat anybody by 25 just yet.
I mean, how many points do we think LSU could score?
That's what I'm saying.
70 maybe? 75? Which means UNO's got to be held to less than 50 to cover that?
I mean, I know they haven't played a lot of games up to this point. Where they played 2 up to this point?
Yeah, that's fair.
What's their highest point total?
That's what I'm looking at right now. But
like what, 75?
They have scored 74 and 61.
Okay.
So
74 against the Kangaroos.
I mean, to cover 25, you got to score at least 80.
I mean, seriously.
So
you better be really good defensively.
I mean, we like you said, Jordy, we don't know a lot about LSU yet, so maybe we're guessing here, but that just seems like a lot of points to me.
And then what do you make of Andy Dalton staying as a starter?
I'm surprised. I really thought Dennis Allen after last week's game was, kind of hinted for the first time that they were going to look at it for the first time since he gave a starting job to Dalton. I will say I heard some things early in the season that Saints, kind of behind the scenes maybe didn't trust Jameis very much, especially with the injury, but also with some of his decision making, like calling out protections and some of the things that when we're watching the game, we don't necessarily think about, or fans don't think about all the time. Not can he throw into that window, but did he call out the right mic? And he struggled with some of that stuff, which surprises me because he's like 10 years into the league now. You figure he'd have that stuff down. So I think there was a little bit of a lack of trust. But I mean, if you're not going to make the change now,
right?
You're in a desperate situation. It can't get a whole lot worse than what Dalton's given you. He's not. I mean, you're not moving the ball anyway. So why not give it a shot? Jameis has a better arm. He's younger, more mobile. I mean, something could give you a spark. So I'm surprised they're not at least trying it.
Zachary Ewing, he is the director of sports betting and gaming over at The Advocate. Follow him on Twitter at @ZEwing and catch him every Thursday right here on the Jordy Culotta Show. All of our spreads that we break down are compliments of our friends over at Caesar Sportsbook. If you download the Caesar Sportsbook app, use the promo code FMFULL, the letter F, the letter M, full to risk up to $1,500, no risk, risk-free, up to $1,500 as you gamble in the latest sports wagers. All right, for the entire crew here today, thanks for everybody being involved, including Ross Dellinger and Zach Ewing here from The Advocate. As we said, follow Zach at @ZEwing on Twitter to keep up with the latest. Where My Dog's At coming at you this afternoon, 6 o'clock. Make sure you are subscribed and ready there. Make sure you are subscribed to our YouTube channel here. We'll be back with you tomorrow morning for a Foodie Friday edition. Our friends over at Iverstein's will be here. So make sure and tune in tomorrow morning. As always, have a great day. Daily, we're presented and driven by Go Chevrolet.